Hi, and welcome to the Law Simplified. I'm Shaveen Bandaranaike. A question I get often asked by students on this very YouTube channel, my Udemy courses, as well as the Fast Track and Masterclass program is how do I put pen to paper? How do I write to impress an examiner? Now, while this is a loaded question, and there are a lot of factors that go into answering such a question. On the one hand, the subject, and more importantly, the topic that you're writing an answer on, the nature or the caliber of the question itself, whether it's a scenario or a problem-based question or an essay question, even the year of study and the university will determine what exactly is expected of you as a student and what examiners are looking for in an answer script. Now, I've said this a number of times at different stages on this very channel as well. Your answer is only as good as the answer that your examiner has marked before you. After all, it is human nature to look at things subjectively, even though we don't want to. And if the answer script that an examiner has marked before yours is phenomenal, he's going to look at it through colored lenses, so to speak, when he reads your one. But having said that, there are a number of factors that will determine how successful you are in impressing your examiner and thereby getting a higher grade for your degree. Now, over the past few years, having conducted several fast track and masterclass programs and gone through countless answer scripts and provided feedback reports to better elevate student responses, I have identified two specific or fundamental principles or aspects of answer scripts that essentially suggest to examiners that this student has gone above and beyond that which is required of him or her. Notably, if you are able to look at, assess, and analyze a question and provide a response incorporating these two fundamental principles, the chances of you achieving a higher grade get exponentially higher, so to speak. The very first principle is to take the scenic route. What do I mean by this? More often than not, when you answer questions in law, irrespective of the subject that you're answering it in, what is expected of you more than anything else is an exposition of how you think and articulate your arguments. It's your personality that has to shine through the facts, the precedent case law, and the substantive subject matter itself. The examiner already knows the substance. He knows the law. But what he doesn't know and what he wants to see is who you are, your personality, your ability to think and articulate arguments in an interesting manner. Taking the scenic route involves not just looking at the facts and applying the law to it, but to create a narrative around it. Show the examiner that you are building arguments to prove your point. Substantiate it with case law, with subject matter, with the theory components that you've learnt, but show that your personality is shining through by telling him a story, so to speak. Taking the scenic route is all about trying to hit as many notes as possible on your way while conveying an interesting story and a narrative to the examiner. So the first principle, the first rule of thumb is to take the scenic route. The second principle is even more so important, and this is quite technical and tactical at that. The second principle is to show off within reason. What I mean by this is to select and understand subjects as well as topics that allow you to show off to the examiner. One of the fundamental mistakes many students make is that when they see a particular question that relates to an individual topic in a subject, they write everything they know about it. This is the incorrect approach. Your examiner does not want you to explain and just simply parrot out everything that you've learned. He wants you to theorize what you have just read. Now, what I mean by showing off is to be tactical about the selection of the topic in your examination. Try to tackle the questions that allow you to touch on as many principles as possible. This will not only indicate to the examiner that you've read around the subject and that you're well versed in the subject matter, but also that you're familiar with how it applies to the given facts and how it informs and substantiates your very own arguments. Going back to that first principle. This is why I suggest to show off within reason. Simply showing off that you know the law is insufficient. You need to have a little bit of depth in your argument. You need to show the examiner that you're using these principles with reason. You're doing it because it informs your judgment and your argument. If you select a topic that allows you to touch on many different principles as opposed to a lesser number in a different topic, your examiner will reward you for it. Not just for your articulation and your arguments, but also the fact that you've selected a topic that allows you to show off, quote unquote, your abilities in terms of the substantive law. Right, so this video was to outline these two fundamental principles that you can apply irrespective of the type of law degree that you're doing. On the one hand, you have to make sure that you build a narrative and take the scenic route for the examiner, and on the other hand, to show off as many principles as possible in terms of the topic that you've selected to answer a question on within reason. If you'd like to set up a fast track or a masterclass program, make sure you reach out to me through the links in the description below. If you found this video helpful, make sure you give a thumbs up and do subscribe to the Law Simplified channel. I've launched a brand new platform with even more substantive content that will help you not just pass but ace your examination. Check it out through the link that will appear on screen right now. But until the next time that we meet, have fun, stay safe, and as always, obey the law.